Hi, my name is Paula Shaw, and in this video I'm going to try to help you tune into what the energies of this full moon in Capricorn is coming up on July 3rd everywhere in the world. If you want the exact time, you can always go to my astrology snapshot at my website soulfulguiding.com, where I break down the times and dive into all of the major themes for each lunar month, beginning at the new moon of every month. For those of you playing at home, this full moon will be happening at the 11th degree of Capricorn. So if you have any personal placements, this can be a real, at that particular degree, planets, your any of the angles, then this can be a really full culmination point in your life. But if you're not into astrology, these themes, they're significant. You know, at the moment I am studying more and more the ancient scriptures with regard to the lunar mansions from the Vedas, from the Vedic knowledge, the nakshatras, which I explore really deeply in Patreon. And I love exploring this because it's not just about astrology at this point. There are actually deep teachings or lessons about life or really helpful information that can help you navigate your life in a more skillful way. So let's look at what this full moon's about. There's a definite shift in the collective story, which actually I'm going to go into that more and more. But the central message, when I weave together all of what I look into, the symbology, the nakshatras, the people I'm sitting with, and then just even how I feel, including all of the planetary aspects, the central message being conveyed by this full moon is the recognition and exploration of the profound potential that emerges when individuals come together and work in collaboration towards a common goal as a united force. This full moon is really asking you to reflect on how much that is or is not happening in your life. The weekend just gone, I was at a divine wedding. It was just such an incredible experience. And during that wedding, I was deeply appreciating how many people worked together in harmony. It was such a beautiful, beautiful ceremony, beautiful coming together. Like the way that the bride and groom set this whole thing up was that they really created a sense. They invited everybody to collaborate. You really felt you were part of it. I felt like I was actually co-creating their wedding day, not just going there to, eat food and witness and just look. I felt like I was a part of it. And in that energy, there was something where we all came together and it was powerful. There was an energy about it. I've been to events where the people holding the event actually want you truly to participate because they somehow understand that when we work together as a unified force, there is power. It's like when more than one gather, there is power. We know this. And this full moon is really speaking into, at the collective level, how do we organize groups? How do we work together? So this full moon is in Capricorn, and Capricorn rules over and signifies structures and our institutions. Also, it is about leadership and authority. It also rules over work ethic and success and how we achieve success through work. And of course, we're going to look at this through our current cultural paradigm, through the current lens. And Capricorn also rules over traditional values and conserving those values. And we know that there is a shadow to this. I mean, there's also beauty in Capricorn. Of course there is. There's the plot of Capricorn that is connected to the traditions of our shamanic cultures, our indigenous First Nations cultures. There's so much beauty in Capricorn. However, the reality that most of us, anyone listening to this, that we live in, is we are living in a time where we're seeing the shadow being basically flushed out of a way you could describe it as the Dominator hierarchies. So a Dominator hierarchy exists when the person or the people at the top of a vertical power structure, this is the shadow of Capricorn, hold all the power, and they use and wield that power over anyone underneath in that vertical structure. They use that power through coercion, manipulation, and just through force. And unfortunately, usually these people at the top, and it's not just men, I've seen this in many communities, on all sorts of levels, where women can actually play this energy out very powerfully as well, but where their number one focus is their own agenda. Their focus is not about the collective. It's not about improving anything other than their own selfish goals, and they'll be so focused that then informs their behavior. And I'm sure you have been in at least one scenario like this. It can happen in families. It can happen in any of those institutions, the institution of marriage, of family, of education, of governance, finances. And this full moon is potentially shining a huge spotlight on this. I definitely, in my personal life, have encountered multiple scenarios with these dominator hierarchies, where I have worked in corporations before I started doing this work, where I just remember working underneath leadership that was terrible. I literally had a leader very high up in this company say to me, hey, sometimes to be a great leader, you need to work underneath a really bad one. And I can see the value in that. But I'm also like, why? Why are we wasting our time being underneath people who have agendas that do not genuinely include more of the collective, this collaboration? There is so much power when we collaborate. And right now we have Pluto, the planet of transformation, of purification, of death and rebirth, resurrection, ultimately moving back, retrograde, back over into Capricorn. So this is a very long cycle that coincided with the global financial crisis, but coincided Pluto's movement, its first movement into Capricorn, coincided with the GFC. So this is the initial shake of the tree of these dominator hierarchies. Where are these people with crazy agendas at the top that have way too much power? Where are they? Where do we need to address this dynamic? There's something big going on in the collective, something big at a karmic level for all of us on earth around rattling the cage of these dominator hierarchies, or anyone that's really invested in it. For you at a personal level, this full moon could be a powerful time with Pluto going back into Capricorn, retrograde, for you to really look at where you've been either a perpetrator of these dynamics. You can forgive yourself because this pattern is bigger than you. This has been going on for thousands of years. It's like an extension of survival of the fittest, which is a distortion of knowledge that actually Darwin was talking about. When communities work together, they thrive. And I feel that Pluto going back into Capricorn is showing us the shadow of this. You can feel into where this has been Either, like I said, you've been a perpetrator or you've been a victim. And what are the stories you told about yourself? How did you behave as a result of this dominator hierarchical setup? We don't have to live like this. And this full moon is asking you to reflect on that. Where have you contributed to that? And I mean innocently or naively. We just didn't understand. Big healing is happening here. Pluto is dipping back into Cap. Well, it's not a dip. It's like a dropping back into Capricorn until the end of this year. Then Pluto will go back into Aquarius, which is going to force us to think about these themes in new ways. What's the way forwards? What are we when we're not operating through dominator hierarchies? There has to be another way. All of the power being at the top into a small group is unsustainable. And the celestial patterns, the times we live in suggest that this must change. Or we just don't have a choice, because as Pluto dips back into Capricorn, this then reactivates a square, a T-square to the nodal axis, which is the collective karma. And this is like a once in, roughly 18-year cycle. This is not happening all the time. This is a bigger, and not always in these signs, not in our lifetime again. So this is life, our collective subconscious or our collective consciousness saying enough. We cannot keep living like this. And we can't miss this step. For the rest of this year, the nodes will be in the square to Pluto. And in July, they will shift signs. So the North Node will move into Aries. And that is going to be about individual personal empowerment, initiating something within yourself. So we're going to see some big dynamics with this square, with Pluto still being in Capricorn, the collective saying enough potentially, and you as an individual saying, I am done with being in these hierarchies. Now we can't just wake up and, blast it out of our lives, blow it up. You don't have to explode your life, but you can expand within it with this kind of knowledge. Look at where this is already playing out in your life. Look at where it has played out in your life. Heal the wounds, soothe yourself, but have compassion, because this is bigger than you as an individual. These dynamics are happening at such a large collective level. And the next few years, we will see more and more of this being unearthed. Take a breath. Don't get caught in it. Be aware, but come back to yourself. Stay centered. It is honestly the best way to navigate these changes, and to look at those places within you where you play out these hierarchies, or where you've taken it on in your own way of seeing the world, either being less than and putting those powerful people above you, or where you've played that out as you being the one that's been power over. It's not going to be sustained anymore, not at this collective level. It appears as though if we try to keep this going, it's as though we will self-destruct. So this isn't just, we don't like it anymore. This is actually about the survival of our species on a level. And I don't think I'm being dramatic. I feel there's really something to that. So another aspect at this full moon is we have Saturn retrograde now. It only just happened at the new moon just gone. Saturn is now retrograde in Pisces. And again, this is retrograde. And this is about unraveling everything to do with Pisces, which can be delusion, illusion, the spells, the myths, the societal myths that we've all inherited. What have we taken on from our previous, generations, that research has shown that we don't actually want just status. and money. Research is showing more and more that people want connection and contribution. So this full moon, you can really let go of all of those stories, like the myths such as chasing money to feel like you matter. Money is important. We all need money. You need money to live. I'm not opposed personally to money. But when I really focus on trying to be helpful and contribution and connection, honestly, money works out. It just does. And I don't mean I just sit there and pray and it lands in my window, into my room. That would be great if that started happening, or into my bank account. I'm open to that universe if you're listening. But I mean getting into these places where you truly collaborate. Again, the theme of this full moon is when people really collaborate, there is a power. When people come together, there's a force. And when you contribute and you acknowledge those in your community that have power, it's unstoppable. And I truly feel, as we keep moving forwards, that any dynamics within you where you're chasing these goals, these myths, like Saturn is going to keep unraveling for the next few months, these myths, these stories, these spells about what we all think we want, chasing wealth, chasing fame, chasing all these things. It's like being a billionaire. I don't know, like it just, they're unraveling. And seriously, the more you let that go, the more you can see who's right there. Like this wedding, when these people work together and we showing up, and you could tell there was so many people bringing that whole ceremony together, the whole event. It was so beautiful, and you could feel every individual in it, and you were a part of it. It was so special. It wasn't just about the bride and groom, and they were gorgeous, but they just knew how to include the people. And every moment of your life can be like that. And that's where everyone around you is thriving. You're helping them, they're helping you. Together we are better. It's so corny, but this full moon is saying it is true. It is true. How can you awaken more power in your life, leverage your community in a way that's nourishing? Power moving through in a feminine way, not womanly, feminine way, is a force, like the river moving, which is connected to the nakshatra of this full moon, which, if you're interested in diving in, I'm going to explore the feminine energy of this full moon and how powerful feminine energy is. Join my Patreon. There'll be a link under this video, or you can go to my website, soulfulguiding.com, or you can check out my Patreon, Soulful Guiding, at Patreon. My community where we journey with these themes. We look at the life lessons of these nakshatras. It's just, I'm only just starting to learn it. I'm definitely not an expert, but I'm sharing what I'm exploring with my community. And then we're journeying with it in ritual and meditation. So again, it's not weird. You don't have to be a woman or a witch. Just opening yourself to exploring some other concepts about life through the journey with the moon. It's really empowering through these times. But I want to explore how can the feminine energy actually be really powerful. That is a big theme of this full moon. The feminine principle knows how to gather, come together, collaborate. They're not asserting their own ego when it's at its highest expression. So I'm going to go and check out my Patreon. But another very positive aspect to this full moon is that the sun is trine Saturn, and that the moon will be trine Jupiter. I mean, this is beautiful. Jupiter and Saturn have been in a sextile, which is a really positive aspect between the guru, the wisdom, the higher knowledge, the great benefactor, and Saturn, the lord of karma and time and structure and form. And when these two planets are speaking with each other in a positive way, you can get traction. So you can observe these dominator hierarchies breaking down in the collective. Maybe in your personal life, you're seeing people that had power in your life. You're breaking through the spell. You're allowing Saturn in retrograde in this beautiful pattern with the sun to help you go, I am not buying into it anymore. You can't scare me anymore. You don't have power over me anymore. In my personal life recently, I've had a big shift in hierarchical structures in my family systems. And the shift in having somebody that played out this more coercive, manipulative energy leave our lives, it is incredible to see how that energy shifts. I personally naturally want to co-create. I haven't always been like this, don't get me wrong, but as I get older, I recognize more and more together we are better. It's not just a good idea. It's like wisdom. It's logical. And this full moon wants you to just go like, oh yeah, actually, so these myths, Saturn and Neptune will be going retrograde in Pisces, which is going to be unraveling more of the deception and the illusion. You're going to really get a chance to see how much these cultural inherited myths have affected the way you feel about yourself, the way you show up, the way you go to work, the way you interact with your family, with authority, with goals. Like, I've got to work on that, I've got to focus on this, I've got to achieve my goal. You know, and that's something I'm going to go deep into in my Patreon community, is purpose and focusing on goals. It's something I'm seeing in my clients and in my own life. And I'm going to just share another way of how to look at that at this full moon. But as you break down all these myths about what you thought it was supposed to be, and you're left with what's there, what is your essence, life is actually beautiful. And this is what wants to be revealed. This is the new earth. This is why there is a destruction that's happening, a breaking down, why Pluto's got to go back into Capricorn this year, and then again for 3 months next year, to make sure we've done it. We are seeing through the illusion more and more of us. If you're listening to this, I'm pretty sure you are as well, into this survival of the fittest. Yeah, you know, set one goal and go for it at all costs. Like, just go for it. Move out of your way anything that's in the way. Just bulldozer it down. Like, really, if you think like that, you're not listening to this video. So this is a time where you could be. I am definitely seeing through it. I am definitely seeing the emperor's new clothes, so to speak. I'm not saying these people don't have any power, but it's just all dominator hierarchy. It's all an illusion. And it's so liberating when you see through it. Work with it at this full moon. If you ask somebody to reflect and work in ritual, let it go. And then start looking at who is already in your community. Where do you already collaborate? Who do you already love collaborating with? You know, another thing about this full moon, this video is going longer than I meant to, is the Venus-Mars conjunction, which will be playing out. And that is happening in Leo. And Venus is about to go into a retrograde, a 4-month cycle. Maybe it's not 4 months, 3. I need to look at the timing, but she'll be there for an extended period of time in Leo. She's beginning at this moment, at this full moon, in a conjunction with Mars. And in a way, Venus is the feminine and Mars is the masculine. When they come together, there's a union of those forces, which is also feeding into this theme. When we work together, we can achieve so much more. And it's a new level of success. It's It's not just monetary gain or power over. It's joy, fulfillment. Together we're better. Being helpful. Seeing the people around you thrive. Venus in Leo is leadership from the heart. And she's going to do her beautiful underworld journey where the goddess goes through this profound process of transforming into something more. She goes through this process regularly and she just keeps reforming herself. So it is a beautiful, beautiful journey to come. And, you know, working with this full moon, honestly, it is such a powerful, powerful lunation to release something about the pain of these old hierarchies, these old traditions, these old conservative ways of organizing and structuring life on earth. It doesn't work anymore. I don't know what the answer is. And I think that's where Pluto coming into Aquarius is going to push us to think about what is it when it's not Dominator Hierarchy? How do you lead? Leo, Venus in Leo conjunct Mars, the masculine and feminine together, leading from the heart. It's collaboration. It's being inspirational. It's persuasive, not coercive. It's influential, not manipulative. Reflect on that in your life. Reflect on what has been holding you back from these old structures and how you can, and where have you been held hostage by the shadow of Capricorn, this conservative traditions, and we must not change. Let it go. Liberate yourself. Awaken the beauty and the magic of Jupiter in a beautiful aspect and Saturn building new structures. Clear the way so that you can move through this life in a beautiful, empowered way, in harmony with the people around you, with your community, with your family, with your workplace, with your business. Lead from the heart, let go of these old ways and find who you really want to be. Okay, so if you want to journey deeper, join my Patreon and let me know, like in comment, please like and subscribe. I keep forgetting to say it, but I've got to say it, I'm told, because I really want to share more videos like this with you guys and really try to be helpful in helping you navigate these times of great change, which the next few years, like I've said, will still be full of a lot of the shadow coming up, but it is leading somewhere. And 2026, 27, there is some magical astrology that really, it appears and it suggests that we could be moving into a very special time on Earth. I don't know what that's going to look like. I cannot predict it, but the cycle suggests that let's get through this. Let's do the inner work on ourselves and unravel these unhealthy patterns for ourselves. But please come over to my Patreon, where I'm going to dive into more of the lessons of the nakshatra and how that could be impactful for you right now. Beautiful wisdom from ancient scriptures. These scriptures, the Vedas, are eternal and universal. They are not religious. They have an essence that until what it looks like and feels like to be a human changes, they apply. They're so applicable to your life now. So join me there. I'm sending you love, and I will see you in a couple of weeks at the new moon in Cancer.